Hey guys, Adam's Furniture Restoration with you here for phase 2 of the beginner's guide to refinishing a piece of furniture. So if you watched the first video, you guys know this is geared more towards beginners, amateurs, people who are not familiar with the process. If you have done quite a few pieces, you might pick up a tip or two. It's possible. So as you guys already know, we stripped the top of this and we're getting ready to clean it to prep it up for the next phase, which will be sanding, then staining after that. So the top was completely stripped, the bottom, we left intact. So two things you're definitely going to need is paint thinner and lacquer thinner. These are completely different from one another. The lacquer thinner is what we're going to use to scrub the top clean. So any residue, any little old finish, there's any stripper on there, lacquer thinner is going to scrub that right out, get it nice and clean for us. The bottom section, we're going to use the paint thinner. The paint thinner is going to get rid of any grease from fingers, oils, what have you, polishes, any residue. We want to get rid of all those contaminants so that way when we prep it to spray it, we're not going to have any issues with adhesion. We're not going to see any fisheye or any, have the product not lay down properly. So let's see. As before, you guys know, protect yourself. Safety glasses always. I'm going to upgrade my gloves here. So there's a lot of different options. I like to use these because they're very thick and I do a lot of pieces of furniture. So I need something that's going to last me a long time. I need to get the bang out of my buck for what I'm doing. I also wear an apron as well. The stuff sloshes all over the place. I mean, if you're careful, it's not that big of a deal. However, don't wear a tuxedo when you're refinishing furniture. Unless that's how you roll, and that's perfectly fine. So other than the lacquer thinner and paint thinner, we are going to need some containers. So I'm just going to put my paint thinner in this. I'm using number 2 steel wool. I have my lacquer thinner in its own separate container over here. You don't want to mix the two. Keep everything separate. I even have separate rags to dry with. I have one specifically for the lacquer thinner. I have another one for the paint thinner. You don't want to mix these two. You want to get in the habit of keeping things like that separate because it's only a matter of time. If you keep them close together right next to one another, I'm telling you right now, one day you're going to reach in the wrong container, you're going to put down the wrong stuff, and you're going to freak out because you're going to create a lot more work for yourself. Okay, so we are going to get started here. So I'm not going to put my respirator on until I shut the camera off. Like I said, I'm just going to do a small section, which I already did start it a little bit. So let me get my glasses on here. Okay, very simple. The trick is to keep it very, very wet. You don't want to keep it dry. You need to keep it wet. I'll show you. So load up your steel wool, get it on there. The same as sanding a piece of furniture, just go with the grain. Go back and forth, back and forth. You're going to see the way it's going to start to chew some of that junk out. Some of that residue, some of that old finish on there. That's what we're looking to do. And you want to keep it wet. When you keep it wet, it helps you break down that old finish or whatever's on there. It helps you to break it down a lot faster, and it helps to wash it away as well. If it's dry, you're just going to be going back and forth, back and forth. Basically, you're just going to be exerting energy, and you're going to get no results out of it. You're going to be wasting your time. You're going to get frustrated and not figure out what's going on. So the secret is to keep it very wet. Go back in, get some more on there, and go back again. You see the way all that slop comes off. Okay. Once you reach a sufficient amount, just take your rag like so and just wipe it dry. It's as easy as that. Very, very simple. Go back and forth a few times. Like I said, go with the grain. I like to start on one side and work my way over. I don't do small little squares or sections. That is a waste of your time. Long, smooth strokes. Just go back there and just do big sections. Get it real wet. If you do small squares like that, it's going to take you all day long. Just go with the grain, do a larger section. I mean, obviously, if it's this long, don't do a 6-foot section. Don't do too much more than 3 feet. Lacquer thinner dries really fast. They call it flashing. It flashes off pretty quick. Now, paint thinner, on the other hand, that dries a little bit slower. So let me show you one more thing, then we'll jump to the paint thinner. Okay. So I have a little nylon brush here. This is for the grooves. So watch this. Same as before. Just get it very wet in that lacquer thinner. Get it in there. You can see the way all that gunk comes out. Wipe it dry. Get it wet, go in there, wipe it dry. I like to do grooves and things like that last because when you scrub it down, For the most part, most of that lacquer thinner is going to flash off pretty quick. However, in these grooves, it will sit there, it will rest, it's not going to dry immediately. So use that to your advantage. Let it sit in there for a little bit. It's going to help to break down anything in there. When you're all done with the top, then come back with the brush and get that out. Or as you're working over a section like that, you can come in and hit it, whatever works out best for you. But don't do these first. I'm telling you right now, you're wasting your time. Let some stuff, let some material, let some lacquer thinner get in there. Let it chew that stuff up. I mean, you know, use it to your advantage. Work smarter, not harder. So, bottom section, we're going to use paint thinner on this. So I have my separate container over here. Same as before, number 2 steel wool. Now what you're going to want to do is use gravity to your advantage. Start at the highest point. You see the way this stuff's dripping, falling down. Start at the highest point, same as this. Keep it wet. Go back and forth, long, smooth strokes. Go with the grain as much as possible. Oh, let me grab my other rag. It's nice and clean. Wipe it dry. Wipe it dry. You're going to see when you start up high, gravity's going to make that material fall down, or the paint thinner. So that way you're not starting at the bottom, working your way up, and then going back down again, because everything that was here, when you go up here, it's going to come back down. No, 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 no. Start high, work your way down. Use gravity to your advantage. Okay, so that is basically how you do it. Very, very, very simple. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments section. Do not forget to subscribe. Yeah, and once I'm all done with this, I'm going to let this sit for at least a day. You really want that chemical to dry out of there. You want it to evaporate before you move on to the next step. You don't keep going bam, 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 bam. You want to give it a little bit of time to rest, so that way you don't have any adhesion issues or anything like that. Just really take your time. It's not a race, okay? So like I said, any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.